Valley News Live at 10.
The conversation continued tonight about a separate facility for special needs students in the Fargo School District. The facility would be devoted to students who require a specialized teaching environment.
School board members visited two similar facilities in the Twin Cities to find out how they operate. And tonight they presented their findings to the school board. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly tells us how that will impact what Fargo does. Katie?
Mike, Andrea, board members were sent to facilities in Minnesota to learn more about what a separated least restricted environment or LRE facility looks like. They wanted to learn what kinds of things work and what things don't when you keep kids with these special needs in a separate location. The board members spoke very highly of their tour of the facilities in Blaine and Red Wing, saying their system allows for specialized education for students who need it. They said these facilities allow staff to customize students' learning by being able to have a more exclusive one-on-one environment. However, when I spoke to parents about their thoughts on the overwhelmingly positive experience the board had, they said they don't think the facility is the issue. Parents said short staffing in special education and lack of training is what they want to see change.
We already have programs in Fargo. Why don't we try to make those better, provide additional training, additional resources where we already have them in our neighborhood schools so kids don't have to be segregated?
No decisions were made tonight as the district continues to look into the prospect of a separated facility. The discussion continues next week as the board plans to use these conversations to move forward. Mike?
All right, Katie Opperly reporting. Thanks so much. To learn more about Fargo's LRED program or the facilities board members visited, go to our website, valleynewslive.com.
An investigation is wrapping up at a daycare in Oaks, North Dakota, following a complaint filed with Dickey County Social Services. The complaint involves Tiny Tornadoes Daycare and how staff there were tying children to chairs. The investigation found that scarves or homemade aprons were used to secure children to a seat during lunch. Social Services also confirmed that some children had been restrained in a high chair or a regular chair with a scarf as discipline. Investigators found Tiny Tornadoes was violating 2 North Dakota administrative codes. The daycare has notified parents that this form of restraint will no longer be used.
A startling situation tonight for a woman who wound up in Big Detroit Lake after a wave capsized her kayak. Authorities say 34-year-old Veronica Surgis of Minneapolis was kayaking when a wave flipped her over. She lost her paddle because of the strong wind and tried swimming to shore. She was wearing a life jacket along with a wetsuit and is okay.
The man accused of murdering a Minnesota woman and throwing her body in the Cheyenne River will spend the rest of his life in prison. 38-year-old Billy Joe Herman was found guilty of murder, kidnapping, and assault with intent to commit murder surrounding the October 2015 death of 36-year-old Amanda Engst. Her body was found in 2016 in the Cheyenne River south of Warwick. Authorities say she was strangled and beaten to death. Herman's wife, Crystal, pleaded guilty to being an accomplice in the woman's death.
Saturday is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, and a national survey says a majority of abused prescription drugs are obtained from family and friends, often from the home medicine cabinet. There are 3 locations in Moorhead where you can drop off unwanted, unused, or expired prescription medications on Saturday. Officers will be at the Hornbachers on Main Avenue from 10 a.m. to noon and at Hornbachers on 40th Avenue South from noon to 2 p.m. They also have a 24/7 drop-off location at the police department.
For the first time, you're seeing dash cam video of a deadly shooting in Nevis, Minnesota on Valentine's Day. 34-year-old Bryce Bellamo exchanged gunfire with law enforcement during a chase. Before that, Bellamo killed his sisters-in-law, 40-year-old Heidi Pierce and 37-year-old Candy Gucci, after a fight with his wife. An officer was shot multiple times in the pursuit but survived his injuries. Later on, Bellamo would get into a shootout with deputies, firing at their vehicles. Luckily, they were not hurt. Authorities would eventually find Bellamo inside his vehicle, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension investigated the incident, finding that the actions of law enforcement were justified.
Something new was done during the recent honor flight to Washington, D.C. The trip gives area veterans a chance to fly to our nation's capital and see many of the monuments and memorials as a way to say thanks for serving our country. And as Valley News Team's Callie Hubbard found out, it also remembers some area vets in spirit.
96 veterans are here at the nation's capital, visiting memorials they've never seen before. But unfortunately, some others weren't able to make it here today, but members of the honor flight want you to know that they're not being forgotten. Vets make their way around the Korean War Memorial, some just passing through. Jason McSparron stops to open his backpack and starts to assemble a stand, placing an American flag on top with a picture.
Lester Helmke, John Bogney, and Walter Steinhoff.
The three served in the Korean War. The honor flight brought photos of these heroes with them and placed them in front of their memorial that they never got to see.
My father-in-law passing away 12 days before his flight gets me just talking about it. So to be able to do this for other families so that they at least have a memento of their service members' trip to DC with us.
Those guys paid a price because I spent a winter over there, and I'll tell you, it is extremely, extremely cold in the winter. They paid a price. Those guys did not have Arctic gear with them. So, and if you went to sleep, you froze to death. And that's a fact. Just that people should try to remember what they did for them.
Jason's sad that these veterans weren't able to make it on the trip, but he hopes that the families appreciate this gesture. In Washington, D.C., Callie Hubbard, Valley News Live.
The Veterans Honor Flight is now inviting families to submit applications and photos of veterans so they can bring them on the next flight. To learn more, visit our website, valleynewslive.com.
Stand up in the crowd and dance with us.
This was a night to remember for many people at the stage at Island Park. The community, families, and friends showed support for performers during tonight's CCRI Talent Show. There was so much to keep the audience entertained, from reading poetry and playing the piano to singing and dancing. Staff say that the annual show is put on to give clients a chance to show off their skills.
Being able to give them a chance to show off to the community, whether it's those dance skills, singing skills. Some people bring their artwork to be able to show that, and for them to have the platform to be able to do that means everything for us.
This was the 15th year for the show, and as she mentioned, included artwork and crafts from other clients on display in the hallways.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with No Wait Weather.
All right, just quietly from the studio listening to what's going on outdoors. We've had some improvement with regards to our gusty winds that have gusted over 50 miles per hour for the past 2 days. Those are starting to settle down, and they're being caused by this big storm system spiraling in a counterclockwise direction as it exits the region. That's leaving us with a continued north flow. And the closer you get to this storm system, the more clouds and spotty areas of showers or flurries are going on. Another weather maker is twisting its way into western portions of the Dakotas, and we're right in the middle of that here in the valley. Many off to the east of us here in the Red River Valley seeing those gusty north winds continue, while off to the west they're seeing an increase in clouds and a few showers developing even as far east as the central Dakotas. Right now, 28 in Devil's Lake as things really cool off there quickly. 30 in Jamestown, holding on to 35 to 40 degrees here in the Red River Valley. And a look at our current conditions out at Hector as we take a look from our view at the Luther Family Ford location. 40 degrees, feels like 33, and 10-mile-per-hour winds from the northwest. No gusts reported. Good news in the Oslo area, that river finally starting to descend a little bit down to moderate flood stage, and that trend will continue as those waters recede a little bit. However, in the Cheyenne River Valley, including the distance between Valley City, where moderate flooding is expected, and as that river winds through Lisbon and Kindred and works its way up into the Fargo-Moorhead area, we expect the possibility for some major flooding. So while the rivers up north are declining right now, Here in Fargo, we're expecting it to go back up over 20 feet now as we go through the next few days. Here's a shot of a dock buried in water. This one in the Park Rapids and Dorset area. Thanks, Jason, for taking the time to upload your photo. Hour-by-hour forecast shows a couple of interesting things. Lingering clouds that may even back into the valley as we go through the overnight hours. Clouds a good thing. They blanket in the warmth, so temperatures won't fall too much more. We're talking low 30s for many of us. The farther west you go, though, you'll have a break in those clouds with calming winds. Temperatures could be as cool as the mid-20s for a few areas. That'll take care of those mosquitoes. Now, that's how we start out our midweek day. We will have wind. It will be from that cool north direction tomorrow. We will have clouds mainly from the Red River and points east through the first half of the day. But those winds will be 15 to 25 miles per hour. Not as strong as today's, and many of us will see those breezy conditions. In the afternoon and evening, we expect to see the clouds dissipate, and that sets us up for a very chilly start to the day on Thursday morning. But for Wednesday morning, how about near 32 degrees? Northwest winds 15 to 25 miles per hour. Temperature in Fargo peaking at 42 degrees, 39 in Grand Forks, 35 Langdon and Devil's Lake. We'll also see some mid and upper 30s across much of central and western Minnesota. Another photo of waterlogged areas. Kirsten sending in this Grand Forks photo of the flooded Greenway. Thanks so much for taking the time. And thank you for uploading all your photos. We can't show them all. A little bit of sun on Thursday. We warm up just a pinch, but on Friday, things get a lot better. Friday and Saturday looking pretty good. We'll be near 50 or above 50, but through the weekend and into next week, we have unsettled weather returning. The difference is not a slow-moving system that's going to dump rain and gusty winds on us in a big way. It looks like just hit-and-miss showers.
Okay, so there's that.
There is that.
Thanks, Hutch. Later on Valley News Live at 10, disturbing new testimony in the impeachment investigation, what the top diplomat in Ukraine is saying.